Hello, it's the Mover Mailbag. I haven't done one of these in a while. Hello, Wombat.
Hello.
How are you?
Fantastic. And yourself?
Shouldn't read my own reviews.
Don't be a David. Move on. Just move on.
Yeah. So for the kids at home, we were just talking about BookBub, right? So BookBub is this, I don't know how you'd even describe it. They advertise books
Subscriber
to this
thing, yeah.
huge mailing list. And traditionally, if you do a BookBub ad, if you get selected, it's very highly selective. If you get selected, odds are you're going to be a bestseller in your category. And we were just talking. We both did BookBub ads this week or this month, and Amazon didn't update the ranking, so we didn't get bestseller status. Like I sold 1,000 or 1,200 books in one day, and didn't move the needle at all.
Which is weird because I got it in Australia, and I can't believe that I sold enough books in Australia to.
I don't know. So we were looking at I was trying to figure out if there's a way to historically look at rankings, and this is just for bragging rights. It doesn't mean anything. And I stumbled upon something that shows you your most recent reviews. And I don't ever read my own reviews because I know it's a bad idea because it makes me mad when people are mean to me. And I did it anyway. It was an accident. And the first one I see is this 2-star review from David on NO Justice. And it's like, no, the first one was good. The second one was okay. And this is just, terrible. And it's like, thanks, David. You go write a book. Don't read your own reviews.
So starting off on a high note today.
It is what it is. But anyway, I've got mail. Well, we're already starting off on a low note because I was going to go to the post office today. I got to the post office and didn't have the key to the mailbox. So, but I've been sitting on mail, so to speak, for a minute now. And so I've got this one, and it's from someone that says Productions on it. So hopefully this is somebody who wants to make a movie. Right?
Wouldn't it be awkward if it's been sitting there for a while and you're just like, I'll get to it. Like, here's your movie deal.
What in the world? What is this?
I don't know. What is it?
I don't know. It says Frontiers Reach. The war for the frontier has begun. And to escape it, a group of brave souls have constructed a vessel to ferry themselves and whoever will join their cause deeper into uncharted space. But the war is vast and ferocious, and getting caught up into it is inevitable. Join the crew of the Helio Siren. It's a video game. Oh, it's classified. Dude, look at this. They did a thing that says it's classified secret. I'm going to jail.
You get all the cool stuff.
Look at that, man. Ain't that cool?
That is cool.
Yeah. Blind.
Because you play video games. That's why.
I'm a nerd. Well,
I didn't say it.
You insinuated it.
I didn't say it though.
You implied it implicitly. Look at, dude, it's got a letterhead, and it says, "Mover, I've watched your channel now and again, and took notice that recently you acquired a new set of hardware for your own simulator setup. Congratulations! As a fellow veteran, he was 6 years in the Army, and longtime enthusiast of flight sims. I thought to send you a copy of the light, not flight, light sim game, and I spent the last 3 years developing." Should be compatible with your setup to include rudder pedals and track IR. I don't have track IR. It lacks much of the realism you'll find in the DCS, but I've tried to find something that sits between a game and a simulator as neatly as possible. As you have no doubt noticed, the game has a science fiction setting in a completely new universe that I've spent nearly 7 years building. The art and design take a lot of inspiration from the Cold War era of military aviation and aerospace. You may even find some of the designs to be familiar with things you have actually flown before. Hope you'll enjoy experiencing the sea in the sky. Wow.
That's pretty cool.
That dude on a letterhead and everything. Check that out. I'm like, it's made in Arkansas. That's pretty cool, man. So elephant in the room, Wombat. Peter would like to know.
I was never mad at you. I don't know why. Me, dude. I was not mad at you. You did that. You made it sound like I was.
I look, all I said was Wombat may or may not have had a close encounter of the third kind.
Cool. We're 5 minutes in and talking about aliens again. We need to come up with a different topic.
Well,
nobody cares
there
about
we go.
Aliens.
I think the more you avoid the aliens, the more people want to know about your aliens. I think you need to just embrace it, dude. You'll sell more books Those UFO people will buy all your books if they think you know something.
I do know something. Buy my books. It's on sale right now. Let's beat the algorithm.
99 cents. Whatever. Anyway, well, Wombat, I am sorry for that.
There's no reason to be sorry. You didn't do anything to be sorry.
Do me a forgive. This is something cool. First of all, it's bubble wrap, and I do like bubble wrap.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Dude, you'd have so many followers on Twitter if you talked about your aliens.
God, that'd be awesome. I could go to bed early at night and sleep easy if I had more Twitter
It's a
followers.
desk calendar. Ooh, it's a PC-21. Look at that thing, dude. Isn't that a machine right there? You'd fly that. Wouldn't you fly that?
Sure.
It's got all kind of stuff. It's calendars.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you still have your PO box?
Mm-hmm.
Are they sending you a shirt?
I send them money and then it just sits there empty. That's how my PO box works. It works awesome.
I thought you were getting a shirt from the Fox 3 folks.
Oh yeah, they had sent me something. They haven't sent it yet.
Send Wombat all your aliens related.
Oh boy, no, jeez, I don't even know.
It's 3 calendars.
I'm gonna have to move now because of the weird.
You know what it probably is?
PO box. It's
probably 3 calendars. One for me, one for Gonky, and one for you, Wombat.
Yeah,
I bet you that's why he sent me 3. Let's see what the letter says. Let's see what it says. Hey, do you watch or you listen to podcasts?
Not really.
Okay.
I listen to yours, but
I was gonna make a joke. I did this with Gonky yesterday. I said, "Hey, Gonky, do you listen to podcasts?" He goes, "Yeah, all the time, man." I said, "Hey, I found this really cool podcast. It's 2 dudes, sometimes a third, sometimes a fourth, and they just talk about aviation." And he's like, "Oh yeah, where is it?" And I said, hold on, let me find the title for it. I was like, "Oh, it's the Mover and Gonky Show," because yesterday I was driving to go have lunch. My stepmom and my brother, it's their birthday this month, so I always take them to lunch in a place that's 2 hours from here, closer to where they live. Mm-hmm. And I was looking. I usually call people when I drive. Nobody would pick up, so I was looking at podcasts.
You didn't call me, by the way.
Well, because I thought you were still mad at me.
So stop. Your clickbaitness is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
People love feuds, dude. People love
ridiculous.
Feuds.
Let it go.
So I found our podcast on Amazon Music and I listened to the last episode. And I was like, this actually killed the whole 2-hour drive. I was like, I did not cringe the whole time like I thought I would.
Yeah, it's good.
It was actually good.
It's good.
Yeah, so he did. So this is 2024 desk calendar. The theme is those magnificent men and their flying machines. I've included one for Gonky and Wombat as well. So come get it.
Sweet. Cool.
Get on over here whenever you're ready.
On my way.
Yeah. That's cool. It's not as cool as the classified letter that the guy just sent me that I read online, but
it's fine.
Still cool. Laura says Wombat got an implant that prevents him from talking about it.
Yeah. I think I just died a little bit inside in the Navy. That's why I don't talk about things anymore.
So we're simulcasting on the Twitch, and Malik says, "Howdy, you weren't on Microsoft Flight Sim." No, but possibly tonight I'll stream on Twitch. I haven't done that in a while. Either DCS, the little 2.9 thing, which is supposed to be really cool, or as you see here, I have yet to try out my old Thrustmaster T1.
Let me tell you how little I know about DCS. I saw Wags make that post about 2.9, and I was like, is this when I'm the air boss? So I listened to the whole thing and then realized it wasn't. I was like, okay, I don't know.
I feel like he would tell you when you're the air boss. It's not just.
I know. I was like, I'm just going to go back to lifting weights in the garage, and somebody will tell me if I become famous.
Did you record the whole thing already?
There's 2 major air boss things that they wanted to start with, and I recorded both those. So,
okay,
yeah, we'll see.
Kelly says I felt really bad for my tweet when Mover said you were mad, Wombat.
I don't even remember the tweet, so don't feel bad. I don't. There's nobody. I'm not mad. I don't know. This has become a whole universe thing that.
Oh, sick. I was flying formation with a Mover 314. Someone thinks they're you. I don't even think I'm me. So it's not me.
Be happy somebody wants to.
I was out. Yeah, imitation's the sincerest form of flattery. As long as I don't know anybody money now. I was out with Lunabelle doing Policia things. So that wasn't me. That wasn't me at all. So let's look at emails from the kids at home. I haven't checked this thing in a while. Usually spam. Do you get a lot of spam on that?
Yes. Most are about aliens, and they seem to jump up after certain Monday night.
Dude, it just shows you we've got reach.
You do have reach. Well, then tell people to go buy the book so I could become a bestseller. Oh, no, it's fine. It's already a bestseller.
It's not pre-order. That's how long it's been. It's now.
That's how long it's been. Thanks for keeping up. You know,
it's hold on. I'm gonna get rid of the 3 letters there, and now it's gonna be
order
Vision.
Order your friendship bears no bounds on how much work.
By the way, this is not views presented our guests or DOD and all that stuff. I don't want to get Gonky to fire me because Gonky's my boss now. In case you didn't know. Raptor says, "Man, if I was a fighter pilot, I would spend 90% of my free time looking in the mirror."
Actually.
In the jets that I had mirrors, that's what I did. I just pointed them at me because I don't need mirrors for anything else. So I just make sure I look cool.
You didn't have it. You didn't have it in the Viper, right? There's no mirrors.
No, just the Hornet and the Viper. Yeah, or the Hornet and the T-38. Jag with his NASCAR thing says, "Happy International Wombat Day, guys," and that is correct. Also, yesterday was Happy Throw a Small Person Day. So if you were under 5'1", you could be yeeted without consequence.
Wow.
So there is a
world we live in
for everything.
It's a crazy world we live in.
Day. All right. So our first email says, "No advanced 2-seaters" from David. "Hey, Mover, longtime follower. I work at one of the bases attached to Gulfport and had an interesting thing happen last week that I would like Gonky and your opinion on." Well, it's going to have to be Wombat.
Nope, I'm not saying anything. He didn't ask.
Well, let me just re-say that. Had an interesting thing happen last week that I would like Wombat's opinion on. I was working in the bay last week and heard fighters circling high overhead for an extended amount of time that it made me curious what was going on. Walked outside and saw two ships of Fat Amy's, which I think is a cloiter or a gaggle, circling over top. That's a lot of beefy gals. Over the top at about 10,000 feet. Once civilian traffic cleared the pattern, the 2 ships dropped down, entered the pattern immediately to final. What got me was the fact that the first 2 ship had the wingman just off the wingtip, a little high and behind, a landing configuration like lead. I instantly thought, in-flight issues with the way he flew him all the way down to the runway. Lead does a touch and go, wingman stays with him. Turn immediately downwind, and the 2 ship does the same. The second 2 ship. I then realized that this must be Eglin doing touch and goes with fresh pilots and instructors in the wingman position. I understand that they have progressed in their advanced jet and have many hours in the sim, but is that truly the best way to learn with such a powerful jet and no onboard instructor to take the jet if needed? Could this be one of the issues for the mishaps lately? I watched both 2 ships complete 5 touch and goes depart the pattern. Just had me questioning the lack of 2-seat trainers. Thanks, Mover. D.
It doesn't matter if it's the best. It's what they have because they never made a 2-seat variant.
You don't,
right? I mean, you don't have a choice.
Well, so what they're doing, I mean, the A-10's been doing this since, forever. And what that was, 10,000 feet would be high key, more than likely, a flame out pattern. And one guy's doing the flame out pattern, the other guy's the instructor. So he's in a chase position, flying next to him. That's how we do things. And they do things outstation because Eglin is terrible with fighters. So, you don't have, you probably go somewhere else because, hey, you get more reps other than Eglin because they've got the, Allegiant, American, Southwest, all these commercial airliners, plus the test guys, plus it's such a busy airport. You can't get all the pattern practice that you need. So you go out to an outstation. I don't know which he said, a Gulfport satellite base, which I don't know what that means because there's Biloxi Gulfport. Mobile's too short. No. Gulfport would be the only one with a long enough runway.
How long of a runway do you need for a touch and go?
You mean at least
6,
maybe 8, depending on the brakes.
Not if you don't plan on touching stopping. Right?
You do, because you can't even if you don't plan on it. Like I couldn't go to Lakefront because, or not Lakefront, Hammond. No, Slidell. Slidell was the one that was too short. It was right at too short. So that's what they're doing. As for you need an instructor to take it. No, by the time you get to that plane, flying it is easy. It's an easy airplane to fly. You don't need an instructor to take it from you. Yeah, it's all the sensor management and stuff. And as long as everything works, when things stop working, it's bad.
You eject.
What? You get out. You give it back to the taxpayer, which that triggered some people on Gonki's channel when we clipped
Did it
that.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because they're like, I'm a maintainer, and I take offense to the idea of giving it back to the taxpayer.
Oh, give me
Would you prefer we die?
People, I'm so sick of people and their whiny attitudes. Give me a break, dude.
Leon, I considered Kiesler, but that for sure is too short. You won't see a fighter there. That runway's too short.
I take offense because I'm a main. Shot that, dude.
Actually, he wasn't even a maintainer. His dad was a maintainer.
Was he a DCS maintainer? Is that what he was? So he was like a fake. Sorry, that's so ridiculous.
So this next email, it's a long one, so as to speak. However, if you want the backstory on the Hamas-Hezbollah Arab conflict with Israel,
we're going there now. This is.
Do we want to go there?
I don't know. Do you? It's Sunday. It's a nice day out, I think.
Okay, we'll skip it.
I mean, you can if you want.
We'll skip it.
Seems very deep.
I'll skip it. Okay.
More polite.
So this next one is from it's not really to me. He sent out an email to Ward Carroll and me, and Pete says, what is Tall Tales from Taco Bell? Apologies for the direct approach, gentlemen. I wanted to get word as many aviators as possible about the condition of Heater. He has cancer. I hope you could advise your community members. Watched a whole video from fellow YouTuber Mitch Taco Bell. He's a Marine lieutenant colonel who explained the Heater's condition has worsened and is looking at a rather radical treatment we're trying to fund. There is a givetextfree.org. Squawk 7700 Heater needs some help. So this Pete was trying to reach out. I don't know anything about this, but that's
I've read about it, and it's legit. Like, it's one of those things where he has like bone marrow cancer type thing, and I believe is what it is, and is trying to do some sort of like cutting edge treatment that's super expensive. And but you know who Heater is, right?
Yeah. Top Gun.
So,
Top Gun.
Yeah. He's the reason. I mean, a lot of the reasons why that movie was. So yeah, it's a real bummer when I read that.
Speaking of bummers, here's an email. It says, Mover, I've been meaning to email you for a couple months, and I'm finally getting to it. My father-in-law passed away suddenly from a heart attack at the end of May. To say it threw my family and I for a loop would be an understatement. A little over a month later, I got around to watching the debrief behind the scenes outtakes blooper reel, which you were a part of, Wombat.
Oh boy.
Video you did of the DCS fights. That was the first real laugh I had since he died. I just want to say thank you to Gonki and Wombat for putting yourselves out there. For the rest of us, it does make a difference to people. I also have an aviation question. I work close to Portland, PDX, which is also Oregon International Guard Base. Usually they take off and land a single ship, so sometimes they do as two-ship formations. My question is, what mission parameters would determine two-ship versus one-ship or departure arrivals? The weather. Right? I mean, the weather.
Yeah, there's no reason to do it otherwise, unless your jet's painted blue or American flag colors.
Training, weather, maybe an LFE where you got to get a whole bunch of airplanes out, and you don't actually formation takeoffs take longer.
Yeah, I was gonna say they take longer on the runway. It's quicker just to do like a 4-second go.
4-second go.
7, whatever. I counted quick. It's easier to join up if you're closer.
I only did 10, 15, or 20 in my career. I don't ever.
Oh, we were 7-second goes in the Hornet. I don't know.
Like
whatever.
In that jet.
Was it?
Yeah.
This might have explained a lot of my problems in that community. Huh.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Why are you so close all the time? You're supposed to be a mile back there. Why are you 300
I'm
feet?
trying to be a good wingman. That's all.
Maybe I screwed up too. T.
Whatever.
Wolf
I'm
Jaeger
sure
says,
somebody
I'm a
will tell us.
Here we go. I'm a maintainer, and I understand if you have to get it back to the taxpayer. The only thing I ask is you make it back to debrief and make sure my name's not in the forms.
There you go. Yeah,
Dude,
I can't imagine any real maintainer that would be upset.
Tweety
with
says
saving.
the same thing.
Yeah, that's such
I think I think
Dude.
it was somebody's, like, my dad was a maintainer, right? Like the guy was saying, he's like, my
Okay.
dad was a maintainer. And it's like, well,
So
first
you're
of all, you
crying
have no
about something
personal
you never
interest in
even
this.
did.
Yeah, this is not people.
That's the equivalent of me being upset about like modern cars build quality and then saying like, well, my dad was a mechanic. That's stupid. Like that's such a
We
go do
love your
something
Mustang,
for
John.
yourself.
Oh, you know what? We haven't talked about the Mustang lately.
Shelby. What about it? Let's talk about it.
Look, that's an old one, dude.
That is an old one. You got to get updated. The floor is old. The wheels look good though.
I like the oil stains.
Those
We
aren't
fixed
oil
that
stains.
Those are.
I like that you're just putting up pictures now. We're just killing time at this point.
Yeah, it's off the rails without Gonky. You know, dude, I think the show. Here's the breaking news. I don't think the Mover and Gonky show will last much longer.
Why? Because of his situation.
Gonky is getting a new lease on life. I don't.
Are you talking about the same thing that I know
in New
about?
Orleans? Yeah,
I don't think that's gonna. Why would that affect his?
100%. Two reasons, and here's why. Number one, he's going to be busy, and his wife is going to want him after work.
Sure,
it's going to be hard to justify this. Number two, I think the risk versus reward of him saying something like, "Hey, I'm going to strafe this airliner if they don't shut up," could get him canceled, and it's a very high risk for a low reward. So that's my.
So what you're saying is there's an opening.
Dude, we can change the patch. We can change the patch.
Wow, there's friendship.
We can just change the patch. It'll just go back to Mondays with Mover. That's all. We'll just
wow. We'll see what he decides. I talked to him today. We'll see what he
Did you talk to him today? I talked to him yesterday. You know, I want the best for Gonky, and that's why
he may have the best right now.
Yeah,
he may.
I know.
So
I'm jealous. I am jealous. I mean, since I applied first, actually twice before, and old Gonky gets it like the C's part, and Gonky's like, please come take this job. Meanwhile, old Mover's like, you know what? DCS 2.9's out. Why don't you go do
that? Book Club didn't get me bestseller.
Can't get a bestseller. Can't do that, but you know, there's a 2.9, and I've got a direct drive wheel right here. Anyway, back to the things. So I think that answers that question.
I don't even remember the question anymore.
About how many people take off at the same time.
Oh,
so that's
I think it was more weather. That's probably the best thing. That was the only reason we trained it.
A failure, you know, weather, and then there's a failure. So this one, good morning. I want to reach out, see if you got this email or not. Thank you. Hope you have a wonderful day. This is from Michael. It says, first, I just want to say that y'all did a good job on the first episode. Ooh, boy. It's fun to watch. I believe that you and whoever else you will have on the show will have a unique view of whatever topics y'all end up talking about. I was DQ'd at Wright Pat for my flying class 1 for a blind spot in the center of my left eye. I never knew about. Just wanted to see if I could get the contact information for the flight doc. Yeah, I sent that. In any case, I'm emailing the mailbag as I figured I might as well tell you my make them tell you no story. It's a bit long-winded, which means Mover's going to have to figure out a way to make this faster. So my vision's always been bad. At the end of 2019, I started seeing videos of game simulator called DCS. We all know that is your favorite thing to do in your off time. LOL JK. That was his JK, not mine. I figured that it would be a great way to scratch the fighter pilot itch, since I still believed I didn't have a chance. As I watched more and more DCS videos, my feed became more and more packed with military aviation related content. There was this one video that popped up that caught my attention. I didn't even fully read the title of it. I just saw the words "Final Flight" and F-18. I was curious about this because the F-18 wasn't being retired anytime soon. I guess my brain just made it up a title. I actually read it. My final flight in the F-18, specifically your Finney flight in the F-18. How many times can we say F-18? And it was from the video that I discovered, Mover and the Make 'Em Tell You No. So after watching a few of your videos and how you became a fighter pilot, all of the myths surrounding what it takes to become one really started to flame up my desire to follow my initial dream of becoming a fighter pilot. On a cold and rainy day in January of 2020, I was sitting in the drive-thru at Burger King in Corpus Christi, really just contemplating everything. You know, fun fact, Gonky has a story about a drive-thru at Burger King. What is it about Burger King that makes career choices happen? I'm gonna have to get him to tell that. You know that story, Wombat?
No.
That was the do I stay active duty or not? And then he went to Malaysia.
Went to Burger King?
It was Burger King drive-thru. I remember that.
The dude who, when I was his roommate in Kingsville, the only thing he had was eggs and beef in our refrigerator.
Well, he's married. He's married now at this point. So the only thing I had going for myself was a college degree. And so after deciding to make the commitment, started to set in all what was ahead of me. And so I had to take all the tests to get my PPL. And I accomplished all of this. I even focused on one thing at a time, especially the test. I don't recommend going and take your TBAS test with a staph infection in the side of your leg. That's TMI. It's just TMI.
Gonky also had one of those. Is this Gonky emailing you?
Yeah. There's no way Gonky could write this many words in one sitting. Because, dude, it's 3 or 4 pages. I'm trying to skip around here. I finally paid off. So here you go. He got a slot with an A-10 reserve squadron. He was 28 years old.
That's freaking fantastic.
That's hell yeah, brother. Out of that, 8 got interviewed, and they picked 4 to hire. Hell yeah. That is why your advice and everyone else's advice on the Facebook group of being yourself is extremely important. Definitely was the highest points in my life, or one of the highest points in my life. I had always wanted to be a fighter pilot, and the group of fighter pilots thought I had the right stuff. Oh, boy. He made it to Wright Pat for the physical, and he was worried about the wearing the glasses thing. Sure enough, the next day, things went south with the eye exams. The docs there said I had no chance of getting a waiver. That's not good. And so for the past year, he's been trying to collect data in my favor, and that's what he's currently fighting. Wow.
Keep fighting, man.
So there's no happy ending on this.
Well, it's not over yet.
Whenever you do feel down, question your decisions, just know that you're making a big impact. So he says, there's no question on how you change the trajectory of my life. So please, whenever you do feel down and are questioning your decisions, just know that you're making a big impact on people's lives out in the world who used to not believe in themselves. You have motivated more people than any other fighter pilot that I know, and that includes the likes of Robin Olds, Chuck Yeager, the list goes on. Why do I say this? Because those guys, whether they meant to or not, became mythical figures because of their accomplishments. In my humble opinion, you have inspired more people than these guys ever will, because you are just a normal dude who's not in the perfect health by military standards, who has problems like everybody else, who didn't have the perfect background, and thinks that everyone thinks a fighter pilot should, and just never stopped. And you made it. I really do believe there isn't any other pilot in history or on YouTube who has been able to do what you have done, because you were willing to tell your story and share your struggles to show that you aren't anything special from anyone else other than just not quitting. And that's something we mortals can all take note of in our daily lives. Thanks for all the help and all that you do. I hope one day I will get to my full story on YouTube, and hopes any up-and-comers will be able to see what the process really looks like as far as I've made it. Hope things go in your favor for your racing. Take care.
I've said this. Stop. See, you are immediately going to put a negative spin on this. Like, oh, shucks, I'm nobody, blah, 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 blah. Nobody wants to hear it. The comments don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Take the win. Appreciate what that guy just said. And he's right. Period. Moving on. Nice job.
Order of Vengeance Flight. Let's just do that.
You make a difference.
Okay. Well, Tom says, have I missed Wombat's UFO encounter story?
It's a bummer. It was in the first 5 minutes. Sorry for being late, bro.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
what was that movie with Richard Dreyfuss?
There was a couple.
With the pianos and the aliens, and it made the light show and the noises at the same time. whatever.
Somebody will say it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess thanks. I really want him to have a success story. And so I think if he didn't, I'm going to reattack and make sure that my flight doc friend has looked into it, but I'm pretty sure she has. Yeah, it was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But dude, when we finally tell the third act of this story, it's going to be real weird. I think that's the only way to really put that is like the first part has this nice, neat, well, I was an average dude and I didn't know. And I just kind of made them tell me no because I just kept trying. And the answer was yes. But then we get into this third act and the end of my career, which is where we're at now. And it's weird. It's weird and it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, and I mean, okay, there's a lot of things that you and I have talked about on this show, right? Not just specifically Mover Mailbag, but your channel. But you and I have never talked about the one story that I haven't yet, right? And it's because the big story, there's a reason for that. It's because it shows a side of all this that is kind of the ugly side of it, and that's not your thing right now. Your thing is to show you want to motivate people, right? So you got to be careful with that because that could be just a one-off or two-off in this case. And it's literally Gonky and I were talking today and hopefully you don't hear the tornadoes going off in the background. And I mean, my children, not.
I don't hear anything right now, actually.
Okay, that's good. I'm sure people will let me know if they hear screaming in the background. But the big takeaway on it is, Gonky was like, man, but I bet sometimes you wish you never even got a Hornet transition. And I'm like, but I don't wish that because I met my wife and we have 2 beautiful babies and life's great for that reason. Did I have to go through some stuff that was not ideal? Correct. Did I have to go through some stuff that I would not wish on my greatest enemy? Yes. But those were small sacrifices to have what I got. So that's the part of the third act that you have to be careful with. Like, it's like, what do you benefit by telling that story? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
So
it might feel good for you to get it out, but that's why I just write about it in fiction, right?
Yeah. Well, there's that. That's its own story by itself. So the other day, I'll tell this on the channel if we're really getting personal here.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm not going to talk about what Gonky's going through, but I will say that obviously we're good friends, right? I mean, obviously we're very, very good friends. And so Gonky has leaned on me for advice throughout this. And it is tough because, it's like 2 high school kids, right? That are going for the same college or the same girl. And one guy gets it and then he turns around and asks for advice about whether, what to do from his buddy who now is going to be left behind. And it's tough. And I've talked to him about this. And actually, ironically, that I was in my office, my temporary office, because, I'm the dude they keep moving to the basement at my new job. They're like, oh, we moved you to the basement now. And now your office is here. And ironically, the chaplain just shows up. He's like, hey, man, you talk? I'm like, what? Who told you this? What are you doing here, chaplain? God? So, and the thing that I have struggled with in his situation, my situation stuff, is because he and I applied for the same thing on the civilian side, and I applied for it back in June, and then was denied essentially, and then reapplied the same time he applied the first time, and I was rejected again. And it was one of many things that I've applied for in the last, year. And for me, it was another door that closed. And he has been talking about how he felt like he's being funneled into this position because all the seas are parting, right? Everything is working out for him. And I looked at it and I told him that. I said, well, in my case, it feels like I'm being funneled into something because every door I try to open is slammed right in my face and I have to move on to the next thing. And the longer it goes, the more it looks like, I'll never fly another military aircraft again, whether it's on the civilian side or military side. And for me, that's tough because that is a transition in your life that you're not ready for. It's already happened because, well, 2022, that was my last military flight. But I don't know what the third act is. And I don't know what the next chapter is and why it seems like I'm being funneled away from military aviation. Meanwhile, it seems like doors are automatically opening in this case. And that is very tough to reconcile. It's very tough to go to be rejected, number one. But it's even tougher when you look at, I don't want the music to stop. I'm not ready for the ride to end. But the reality is it's already ended. It ended a long time ago. And when you keep trying to put more quarters in and your buddy's hopping on because, hey, this new opportunity just opened up, which now granted, Gonki's way more qualified than I'll ever be. He is a much better candidate. This is not anything
particular job.
For that particular job, 100%.
Yeah. That's a tough. I mean, I almost don't know of anybody who could beat Gonki in qualifications.
Somebody current qualified. Well, somebody who's
that'd be the only thing. But I mean,
somebody who's recently
that'd be
qualified.
rare. I mean,
he hadn't flown in 10 years, dude. I mean,
you got to also think about the stuff he's done. I mean, I don't want to get into it too much. I mean,
it's not.
Yeah,
and
current
it's not
qualified. That'd be, I guess.
This is more philosophical. This is more of it's not a me versus Gonki or whatever. This was, me sitting down on a philosophical level. You look at this, and this is almost a mental health bit, right? Because, the chaplain is sitting there and saying, you are being funneled into a new path. And Gonki is saying that too, because obviously Gonki is a very spiritual, religious person. And he's like, this is what you're being redirected toward. And I see it as, dude, you keep running into a brick wall every single time. So
two things. Sorry. The number one, I agree with you. The correlation that I would bring up was, when I was in the Wallbangers and found out I was getting divorced on deployment and all of that and how tough that is. And I see all my buddies around me with seemingly great relationships, like everything's going well, right? And somebody had mentioned in the comments, hindsight is what it is. And the only thing that really got me through was faith at the time of knowing, like, if this is dissolving, if this is going away, if all these doors are shutting, it's because there's something even better. And your personality is very much like my personality in the sense that you're laser focused, right? So if somebody told you today you could go fly forever, jet, whatever, you name it, it doesn't matter. You pick the jet. That'd be your whole life. That'd be your whole world, would be to go after that and do that. That's just how you are. And so it's hard for people like us, I think, faith-wise, universe-wise, to get off that path. Like, we're very, once we're on a target, it's tough. So that's why some of these doors shutting just seem so ridiculous, because you're like, dude, I can't get a break. But it's like, well, that's not the path you're supposed to be on, and you're too stubborn and stupid to realize that on your own. So we have to slam every one of these doors in your face until finally you're at the end of the hallway and you go, oh, well, yeah, this is where I should have been all along. But that's the hindsight of it. So the other comment I'll make, because I think this is hilarious and it may or may not get me, the Lunicam get me in trouble. Hopefully it will not. But the other day, and I'm only bringing this up because you brought it up, the guy who gets his desk moved, right? So the actor, the name
from
of Stephen Root, the actor that was the guy. Have you seen my stapler? Well,
yeah.
So he was on a flight I did like 2 weeks ago, and the
flight, really?
Like, yeah, she's like, he's sitting in 1B, and I was like, oh, nice. So the FO and I were having a good time, and he was like, he's like, so you think you're a pretty cool captain, huh? And I was like, I know I am, but what's your point? He's like, what are you going to say on the welcome aboard PA? And I was like, dude, now There we go. So I usually don't make welcome aboard PAs personally. Like I just don't do them.
Sit down and shut up.
No, it's just I end up saying the same thing as flight attendants, and I understand that people just want to watch.
You gotta tell them the weather, though.
You know what I mean?
What the
They
temperature
don't.
is.
Exactly. So I come on. I was like, "Hey, this is your captain." Blah blah blah. You know. Turns out we were supposed to be a little bit late getting you to your destination, but we fixed the glitch and we figured out a way to get there early.
Nice.
And I was very proud of myself for throwing that little jab in there. And I thought it was hilarious. The FO thought it was hilarious. And I asked the flight attendant, I'm like, did he smile? And she's like, from what? And I'm like, the welcome aboard, the fix the glitch. And she's like, oh, he had on his headphones. He didn't hear anything he said. I'm like, damn it. So that was my
John says, Wombat, speaking of accomplishments, thank you for choosing to begin a writing journey and love the books. On chapter 43 of Trees in Flight and can't put it down.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what happens in that chapter, but that's cool.
I think he's just giving you a progress report.
I like it. So, but that's my take on it. It's tough. I get it, man. It's tough. I've lived it. You know that. You know the whole story.
Well, so, you know,
I look forward to the day when we could sit here and go, man, that totally makes sense now. Because I know that day will come.
Yeah. I mean, and part of it too is, you know, by having this channel, we're in a public facing world, and the public they hide behind whatever, you know, screen or whatever. So you get the worst of society. And sometimes you believe the negative press, just like, you know, they say, don't ever buy into the good press. People, you buy into the negative press. So, you know, with this channel, you know, you'll have people call you a has-been or, you know, or whatever. And you kind of sit there and go, well, I don't want to be a has-been. I want to be a now being.
I'd be happy to somebody calls me a has-been, because at least I was once been there.
Right? I mean, because they're like, you're washed up, or, you know, and when the channel is, and this is why I've tried to make it like, hey, it's the CW Lemoyne channel, not the aviation channel or whatever, because I don't want to be one dimensional. Because what happens when the music does stop, which it already really has, and aviation's not the only thing. I mean, I still like the race cars. I still like that little girl that's behind me that's doing great work.
She looked happy in the
right now.
Today. She did.
Yeah, she's
that from the photo.
She's doing great. But you know, you get people like in this very chat that, you know, want to say things, and that's
Are there people saying things? I don't see all the chats. Is there more than one chat?
You if you hit on comments on the right, you can see all the different comments.
Who's talking bad about you? I will.
Oh, no, nobody. I think
I just keep looking at all the things where people say I look great. So maybe I missed the ones where they're talking.
You've got it filtered for.
I do. Only positive Wombat comments. That's I didn't know that was a button.
So. Yeah. How do I filter to just people telling me how awesome I am?
Yeah, that's what I need.
So anyway, ask Wombat what his thoughts on the Space Force.
I think it's just as valuable as the regular Air Force. What? It is what it is. I mean, somebody's got to go take care of those UFOs that I see, right?
Oh boy! Oh, so now we are confirmed. We've now.
I'm going for the Joe Rogan show at this point. Screw it. I mean, it's called selling out.
You really should sell out. I mean, if you don't sell out, how are you going to ever sell any books?
That's true. Clearly not Book Club.
I mean, you need. And I think that's where this channel needs to start going, is we need to start, you know, clickbaiting.
You could become the NASCAR of YouTube channels, which is like stuff splattered everywhere.
Sponsored by.
You can't even see your face anymore. It's just different.
Deep intel on the next thing. We'll just, everything is deep intel. We'll just deep intel everything so that people know to watch our stuff. Maxim says, you are wonderful human beings, gentlemen. Thank you for making our lives brighter, one video at a time. Question: what advice would you give your current or future manager on how to lead you? Put people first. That's it. Get out of the way. Remove roadblocks. Put people first. Get yourself out of the way. Your job as a manager or a leader is to make it easier for your people to do their jobs as effectively as possible.
I agree. The only thing I would add is don't ask your people their opinion if you don't want to hear it. Like foster a culture where your people are
feedback. Yeah.
comfortable being honest with you and not just wanting a bunch of yes men and women and
Or-
whatever.
Mhm.
Yes, people. I don't know. But because I think that's the big thing. Like I can't tell you how many times in my career, which will not shock anybody that's listening to me at all, but people have asked my opinion on something and I give it because I assume stupidly that they actually want my honest opinion. And then they get offended because they're like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. That's not the norm. That's not the status quo. And it's like, well, because the status quo is stupid. It's not working. This is what'll work. You asked me my opinion. And then it becomes this whole personal thing where it's like, dude, this business isn't personal. Like, then just don't ask me in the first place. Like, and then I'll go home and hang out with my family and be happy. And you can go about whatever you want. But that's the big thing. I think there's so many people that want to ask their people how they feel or what they think they can do better, but they don't actually want the answer. They just read in a book somewhere that that's what you do. So they do it. And then that's actually worse. It's like, if you don't genuinely want to look at the people, the professionals, the quote people in the trenches, if you will, that are doing the job that you're managing, if you don't actually want to hear what they have to say, then don't ask them because it makes it worse, in my opinion.
Servant leadership.
Yeah.
You really also, I mean, asking them is a good thing, but if you're there with them, you should know.
Yeah.
You should
True.
know. You should.
But I mean, again, depending on the role and how much you're managing, I mean, it's, you could just look at a Navy squadron. Like when I was the line division officer, like it was not super difficult for me to go up to the flight deck and hump chains around with the guys and girls that I was leading because I was in charge of, I don't know what, 40, 50 people. It was a lot harder for the skipper to do it, right? Because he or she's got a lot more going on. Now, did it hold a lot more weight when they did it? Probably. But either way, it was still effective. So that's all.
Yep. Cheddar says a Class A mishap should have been filed the moment you landed from your Finney. The Air Force losing you was a tragedy. Well, I appreciate that, but we went the other way on that one. The Finney flight.
I mean, things were filed.
Things have been filed, yes. Very many things have been filed. It must be something in UFOs because an entire branch of the government are very committed to the Men in Black.
I guess.
Yeah. And then Lucky Pekka says, is not using phones in airplane nowadays more a social rule than technical? Is he talking about the airplane mode thing? I mean, that's an FCC rule, but does it do anything? No. WWE Ross, that's wrestling. Currently riding in your favorite aircraft at flight level 350, 73900 ER from Atlanta. That would be somebody who looks like a submariner up in the front. I love to hear some deep intel on being probed by aliens. That would be under incognito browsing and
yeah, exactly.
different show altogether. That's Gonky's OnlyFans. I would not have a cell phone inside a fighter jet. Like people can't text and drive, much less text and fly.
I've texted and flown in the military before. It's fine when you're in the pattern.
I'm sure it's hard, so to speak, but ignore the mean people and keep putting good vibes out into the world. I don't know if I put good vibes out. I put vibes out. But
you put good vibes out. You just need sometimes. You just need.
I just need to recage. I figured my purpose out. Cheddar says you own an F-16 at flight level 350. That's tough. Yeah. He went on vacation on the way back. Oh, he said it. Delta has free Wi-Fi. Good
and
for
Tom
Delta.
Brady. Good for Delta.
Tom Brady has free Wi-Fi?
He does.
Why does Tom Brady have free?
You didn't hear? You know that Tom Brady works for Delta now.
What?
Yeah. He was hired as a brand ambassador.
Why don't you hire me as a brand ambassador? How much does that pay?
What do you know about me that makes me think that that I have anything to do with Delta hiring at all?
Kada.
At all.
Kada. Maxim says, thank you for the answer. Pure gold. Jives with Nasty's principles. Remove the roadblocks and give the guidance. Makes a lot of sense. Makes Maybe that's why he
Maybe
was so
that's where you-
successful.
or where you heard it from. I don't know. Just kidding.
Yeah. I don't want to be mentioned in the same breath or paragraph as Robin Olds. That's different. Robin Olds is
It's different, but listen, what he said it's different. Like,
it's
you can't
different.
compare. Don't beat yourself up. I knew as soon as he said that, I was like, oh boy, I'm gonna spend an
Oh,
hour on
boy.
this thing after we shut it down. Nobody's watching. Dude, it's a different comparison, right?
Yeah.
So don't sweat it. It's all good, man.
Don't pet the sweaty stuff.
It's all good. All
Yeah.
good.
So what are you writing now, Wombat?
So if book 3 ever gets published, and that's a big if, I hold that.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who doesn't sell out to the man, I have that right to just say, I'm done with this. But if book 3 gets published, I drop a bomb within the first 7 chapters that is going to blow everybody's freaking mind. Like, yours included. Blown.
Would you beat there? Is this where you admit
No.
your aliens?
No. No. I'd be tempted to put something like that in the book if it wasn't so ridiculous, but I'm not going to.
She's having bad dreams over there.
She's tired from all her work today. So yeah, I'm pretty shocked by that, but it's gonna blow your mind. I did it on a layover. I was writing and I was like, dude.
Isn't that awesome when you write a chapter and you're like, I can't wait for people to write this? Do you have beta readers?
Like, I want to. What's that?
You have beta readers?
No, I mean, Vengeance Flight had a couple, but the book was already pretty much written by then.
So you don't have. So like for me, right, Doug, I've got Doug.
Mm-hmm.
Every
you
chapter,
give it to him like
as soon as I write the chapter,
really?
Doug
Yeah,
sees it because I couldn't do it without him. I couldn't do it. I could
that.
not do that without him because I need somebody to like as we go be like, yep, checks, your writing's still okay because
you don't suck.
Yeah, you haven't deteriorating in your writing skills.
I don't do that. I just write the story, man. I tell the story just like you and I talk right here, and that's it. And I can always fix it later. You know what I mean? But this bomb, I was literally sitting in the hotel.
Give me a hint.
I don't even know how to give a hint without giving it away. It's that good.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So,
DCT says, super specific question. Have you ever heard of Air National Guard pilots making it to test pilot school? I think so. I mean, I know it's possible. I mean, I don't know any specifically, but I know it's possible. John's excited that there's a book 3.
Yeah, good. I mean, is there? I mean, I guess there's a few chapters.
Yeah, Rhino Tech says, do you either dedicate a set number of hours per day to write, or do you only write when you are inspired to write?
Both. I do both. It really depends. For me, I found it's a lot. When I wrote Trees in Flight, it was very, it was easier because it was, my son was really, really young. So it was easy just to lock out time, typically early in the morning. You know what I mean? But now with 2 kids and job and trying to still be a decent husband and all that, it's harder to just say every day I'm going to do this. And, my schedule is not a 9 to 5 type of job anyway. So, and we've talked about this before. I think I've talked to somebody about it. I think it was you, is that, some of this story, a lot of the story is dark, and when your life is going pretty good, it's hard to go to a dark place to write it, so it's not easy to do, to be like, hey, life's good, love the kids, kissing babies, gonna go work out, then I'm gonna write about some really horrible stuff that happens to people and some really disgusting things, then come back and hug the kids. Like, that's a hard switch. So I have to kind of play it. So that's why I say kind of both. But you probably do more hours per day when you're really ticking along.
No.
Right?
So,
really?
Well, I
at
guess
times you have, right?
It depends. Yeah. So I used to set aside time every day and I used to write a chapter a day. I would target between 1 and 2,000 words a day, and I could write the entire book in 60 days.
Yeah.
Give or take. And since this channel, it's been bad, especially lately. It's been one chapter a week, if that. And that's just because, like, I'll sit down, right, and because I'm pulling the work of two channels now, because I'm editing for both myself and Gonky from what comes from the topics.
What does he pay you for that? Is it good?
Well, Gonky's on this channel too, so it washes out. I get his shiny smile and glimmering personality. So, and it doesn't take anything away. It's just I have to go through the 2-hour episode and then get the clips and the shorts and all that stuff. Not shorts, but the topics.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time I do that, what's taken a lot of time has been, our stuff with Luna, all the events we're going to. And it just, there hasn't been a lot of time to write. I'm in the short hairs on this new book. Like, I'm within the last 10 chapters or so. It's just getting there with one chapter a week. That's terrible, because you have to sit there and go, okay, what did I do last time? What makes sense?
Do you do, because you're the one who gave me the advice of finish a chapter, write the first paragraph to the next chapter, right? Are you still doing that?
I did not give you that advice. That is not me.
So let me give you a piece of advice. It would really help you write. You should finish a chapter and write the first paragraph of the next chapter.
No, that sounds great. I've never heard of that before. So
I read that somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I'm the one who says just write something, get it on paper, and then edit on the back end.
I will tell you,
I'm dreading.
No, but I'll tell you, like, 100% agree with whoever it was that told me the advice of finish a chapter and then write the first paragraph. That helps that delay so much, because I read one paragraph and I go, I know exactly where I was there.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. But by the time I get to that, like, okay, this chapter's over, I'm like, oh, thank God I wrote a chapter.
Really?
Hey, Doug, can you read this? Because
I just want to go, man. I want to write forever, but I just
because it's so tough now with every other thing I'm trying to do, that it just hasn't had time. I really need to finish the thing, because I want to, I've got the screenplay for I Am the Sheepdog, and now that I'm technically a canine-ish handler, I've got some ideas in how to rewrite that script for, because you want it to be not book 2, right? Because, well, nobody wants to start in the middle. So it's got to be a story that people like. And I think now that I know some things about the canine handler, the comfort canine, the therapy canine stuff, there's some ideas that I have, and I just need to get to it. And it's just, I got to finish one project at a time. So for as much time as I have, I seem to have no time at all anymore. And so Dahlia says, I'm a baggage handler. Is it that hard to remember to turn your beacon light off on arrival? Don't you leave that on until you engine shut down?
So this is a great question. It's actually changed to where they used to do it. It's why a lot of people, I don't know if you remember, but a lot of people shut down the number 2 motor as they taxi in, just so it's safer over there. But you're not supposed to approach the aircraft with a beacon on for that reason, because it's the step after you shut the motors off. So you're welcome.
Lights are usually, I mean, that has happened. People have gotten
in
the intake.
100%. Why?
Wombat, what's the most tracked route to get into flying airliners besides military? You guys see graduates from ATP flight school? I think, regionals would be the...
Yeah, I'd say probably now it's more regionals. I mean, it's, it's the demographic has changed so vastly over even my time at the airlines that, I mean, I just worked with a new first officer that the literally like 3 years ago, she was a flight attendant for us, and she went in. And this was, I mean, you think of 3 years ago, right? That's the heart of COVID. And she went on her dime and got all her flight time, and then became a CFI, and then got on with the regional, and then got to us. 3 years from 0 to first officer at a major airline. Like, that's pretty dang impressive. And she was, well, is, obviously she hasn't changed since I taught her, but very sharp. I mean, I was so impressed. And so, I mean, it's a completely different demographic than like when I started, and I never had, people have asked me this before. I've never had the idea when Gonki and I were sitting at API in 2002 in Pensacola, I wasn't like, man, one day I'm going to fly airliners. Like that was never even on my radar. It was like, I just want to go fly for the military and do whatever. So, but I have heard way more stuff, um, coming from different backgrounds, maintainers that do it, things like that. So, but I do think regionals right now is probably the bigger track. That's what I see
It's a
more of
mindset.
anyway, but it changes.
You bring that up. It's a mindset, I think, because for me, I kind of stumbled into the airline thing,
Sure.
because
Same.
the written was expiring. I took the check ride, used the GI Bill, and then I was like, well, I've got an ATP. Let me just apply. And it just worked out. And I did the airline job in between the Hornet and the T-38. And I was a little, I missed being a fighter pilot because I was 34.
Sure.
And I mean, I still do. And so people constantly on this channel, I mean, it's probably one of the most asked questions, like, Mover, what's your status with the airlines? Why aren't you flying for the airlines and stuff? And so, in 2020, to answer that question, in 2020, when the COVID stuff happened, there were leaves of absence being given. And the first part was partially paid. And then eventually they went in unpaid. And when they went in unpaid, I said, Mom, I'll try that. Let me try the leave of absence. And in whatever it was, 3 years, 2 years from then, if I haven't figured out a way to stand on my own 2 feet outside of the airlines, I'll go back. But my goal was to not need to go back, because personally, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I think it's a wonderful job, high paying and stuff. But for me, I was never really passionate about it. I was never really satisfied with it because, number one, it's boring flying. I mean, by design,
Hopefully.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be boring flying. It's supposed to be, as long as everything's going well, very routine, very automated, perfect. That's the way you want it. Like, it's not supposed to be exciting. But for me, it wasn't as fulfilling as flying a fighter. And at the end of the day, you're like physically and mentally drained because, hey, I just, pulled 9 Gs and defended this point, or trained for something bigger than myself. And that's a mentality thing. I get that. But the real thing was, I didn't like the grind. I was a commuter, which I don't recommend, but I'm not going to move because, especially in this market.
Yeah.
And I didn't like hey, I'm gone. I'm staying in a hotel, we're 10 hours, men rest, and then we're going to go fly 3 legs the next day. Like I didn't, what I loved about it was when I'd get a 30-hour layover in somewhere like Montreal or Bermuda or whatever, but those are few and far between. What you usually got was the 2 and 3 leg days. And especially in a 737, which is a cramped cockpit, it's loud, it's not for everybody. That being said, it's a well-paying job and thousands of people do it. I'm not disparaging it, but when people ask me like, hey, how come you didn't really, you're not in a big hurry to go back? And for me, I like sleeping in my own bed. I like being with my dog, and I like doing things on my own. And that was my goal, was to be my own person.
Sure.
Now, am I going back? Oh, well, I've got until March to figure that out. More than likely, yes. Because at this point, I haven't been successful in that. When we talk about the door slamming shut, well, there, okay, we're getting to that point, and that's fine. But, I've tried to do other things. I've got a lot of projects that aren't public facing on the channel that I'm trying to, that my goal was to make a reality, and just necessarily hasn't worked out yet. So
that's what it is. I mean, I experienced the same thing, within the first year of being at my airline. I tell people this story all the time, especially former military people, when I teach them, is, I say very, very bluntly that I was at the 1 year mark the airline, so what that is, off probation, all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I almost quit, which,
Yeah.
and people are like, what? You look back now and it's like, why would you do that? And it was a lot of that. It was not the fulfillment. The mission accomplishment is what I use. That's the term that we are used to, but I just wasn't having that. I didn't feel that. And but then I, within the next year or so, that week, I spoke with a captain who kind of linked me down some things that helped me have a goal. But then it's the teaching for me. I've always really liked teaching, and not everybody does. You know what I mean? I mean, some people, even in the fighter pilot world, like they like being the tip of the spear more than they like teaching the tip of the spear, right? I mean, it was a theme of Top Gun Maverick, right? I mean, it legitimately was. He's like, I'm not an instructor, and it's and it's, to me, I was like, I taught a ton in my career. I enjoy teaching. So when I realized that was an opportunity, and that's pretty much been the sole thing that I've done now, that was my kind of little niche of where I needed to be. And, without saying this to you privately and saying it first here, is, maybe there is something back at the airlines, or an opportunity that being back at the airlines brings out that you didn't even realize was on the horizon, wasn't even an opportunity. So that's where you just kind of have to keep an open mind and roll with it, and know that the beauty of the world that we live in, it doesn't matter if you're an airline pilot or if you're a CFI or anything, not being in the military, is there's no real commitment. I mean, you could be the number one guy at any airline and retire any day you want. It doesn't matter. Nobody's got their hooks into you. So it's really, you kind of have to look at it that way, and just keep an open mind to it. But that's so easy for me to say, because it's like, dude, just keep an open mind and you'll be great. And it's like, but I get it. It's tough because I was there. I mean, it's not fun to not have that mission accomplishment that you've thrived on for so long, every day, day in, day out. I mean, that becomes your whole persona. So, but I do look forward to the day that we have the mover mailbag, and it's going to be awesome. So where you're like,
we are,
it all makes sense now. Now it all makes sense.
It all makes sense now. Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you talk to. Because if you talk to Gonky, he'll tell you the airlines aren't for even him. And his goal is to not do that in the bigger 100%. Picture.
Sure. So, I mean, so have you? Can you hear any babies in the background? My wife wants to know. Nope. Good. Okay, cool.
I've not heard anything. Question: is there a lot of pressure from publishers to produce manuscripts? We don't have publishers, so the pressure comes from within.
Yes.
Right.
So no, there's zero pressure. It's awesome because nobody owns me except for my wife and children.
Do F-22s use those fancy maneuvers we see at air shows at actual BFM, or do they just use standard maneuvers, only done better?
Both.
Yes.
Both. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Had to catch up. Renee was posting spoilers in the chat there, asking you a question, Wombat. I had to stop that.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, we don't do that here. WWE Raw says it was either CDL school or flight school. I went to CDL, but still want to fly, working on options. Yeah, hell yeah. Mover, do you watch Formula? It's about to start. No, there's nothing more boring in motorsports than Formula One.
You don't watch Formula One,
dude? It's qualifying with just other cars on the track. It's open qualifying. You can't the track limits, and you can't.
When they crash, though, it's
rubbing
awesome.
Is racing. That's the thing. They don't crash because you got a 5-second penalty. When I watched a race and the dude who won didn't win because the other guy ran him off the track and he got a 5-second penalty. And it was like, well, after 5 seconds, this is the actual, this is too much socialism. It's just as commie as metric.
Too much socialism. And we're triggered now. That's awesome.
I know. Just want to say thank you. I'm just an average person who need to hear and make them tell you no practice. My life drastically altered when only physical hindrance held me back. Oh, yeah. Here you go. There you go. We're back. Gotta go. Formula is about to start. Gotta watch how many minutes Max Verstappen is going to. And that's the other thing. It's just the one guy who wins. Who cares?
He does win a lot.
It's just qualifying.
He wins a lot.
Yeah. Cheddar says we're going to start a P-51 fund. Let's start a Viper.
I agree
fund.
with that.
No, let's do a Viper. Let's get a straight up Viper, dude. Straight up Viper.
Wow. See, this might be some of the problem that you have.
Going too big?
Like, if people want to do a Go fund for P-51 and you say no, like, I don't know if I'm coming back on this channel, just so we're 100% clear.
Okay, I'll take the P-51. God, okay, fine.
Just saying.
Justin says we can barely hear you. Well, I hear
Really?
you fine. Yeah, we have the same mic. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Do I sound okay?
You sound
Mover.
fantastic.
I was also wondering what you did at Boeing. Not me. I never worked for Boeing. I flew a Boeing.
Stayed at a Holiday Inn last night.
Gonky worked for the Malaysians. But yeah. Anyway. Irene says rubbing is racing. It's the only way to watch racing. And that is exactly correct.
Like, when they do hit, though, it is spectacular.
Go watch IndyCar. They do the same thing and spectacularly wreck.
I don't watch any of it, to be honest with you. But yes, it's.
Renee says, I am loving wombats riding. And that's a cute puppy.
It is a cute puppy.
Looks like it's yawning.
Maybe it's bored of what we're talking about.
Kate says, I've said it before, but make them tell you no is still keeping me moving forward. And last week's mental health minute has been top of mind all week. Okay.
See, you're an innovator or something. I don't know.
Wombat, move your. I don't. His sounds fine.
You move your mic closer to your face.
Turn your volume.
Are we throwing stones? I can't turn it up. I don't even know how to turn it up.
Him. You sound fine. So mental health minute for next week. I had two options. And
you mean tomorrow?
Is it already?
Yeah. That's why I asked you if you wanted me on, and you said, hell no.
T-Bear's going to be on. T-Bear's going to be on.
It's fine.
We'll get you on. That's why I got you on today.
Fine.
Got you on today. But you can talk about this. So there were, and you can tell me what your opinion on which mental health
I will
minute.
tell you my opinion.
So the first option was a little bit less, I'm not going to say inspirational.
Don't just tell me the two options.
Okay. So the first one was self-reliance. And
can you define that? Can you say that in a sentence?
The theme was no one's coming to save you. That was my pitch for the mental health minute, is nobody's coming to save you. And this was something that I've had to deal with over the last year, is that you think that, something bad happens, you go to the people that you think can fix it, it gets fixed, and there's justice. And the reality is nobody's coming to save you. And what that should drive is self-reliance, i.e., as they say, I think it's Jocko or one of them, be hard to kill. Because you should strive to not need somebody to come to save you. Just like in BFM, when you're doing your best 1v1, you're hoping your wingman comes in and pops the guy. But 9 times out of 10, you need to fight your best 1v1 BFM to win. That's one.
Okay. What was the other one?
Accepting and dealing with failure.
I like that one better, but continue.
That's the one Gonky. That's the one Gonky picked. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it's the self-reliance. I get it. It's not mental health minute as well. The mental health minute has become something that I'm not even 100% sure that you thought it was going to become when you threw it in there. And listen, I'm not disagreeing with the self-reliance, right? I mean, I'm a huge fan of, hey man, we're our own worst enemy. We make so many mistakes, and we disqualify ourselves long before we ever have a chance, and we rely on too many people and blah 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 and all that stuff. It's like, just gut it out, go hard, and see where the chips fall. But for that particular one, I like your second pick personally. But
the self-reliance thing, it is the be hard to kill thing, because mind, body, and spirit, you have to toughen up.
I don't disagree.
John will probably agree, and if he's still watching, in law enforcement, we have, by and large, accepted being out of shape, being fat.
I'd say in society as a whole.
Not being able to deal with things as we should, and needing somebody to come save us. And in our daily lives, we rely too much on calling 911 or somebody else to make things right when things go wrong. And whether that's self-defense or just daily living, we need to rely on ourselves, because that's the last thing that will fail. The first thing that will fail is every other institution out there. If you're self-reliant, if you are a self-reliant person, then you are mentally and physically tough enough. I'm not saying you have to be John Rambo or John Wick, which, why is it always John? But
it's a strong name. Also, they don't have a lot of creativity.
Correct. So. I'm not saying that, we live in an isolationist world where you have to be responsible for everything. All I'm saying is the goal is to be tough enough to be able to fight, whether that's metaphorically, physically, whatever that is, because what I have found is when the mechanisms that you thought were going to be the firefighters to come help you, the emergency response in your career or your life, not necessarily will be there, and they won't be there fast. And that's the thing too. When seconds count, police are only moments away. I mean, I know that for a fact.
Sure.
When you're in the fight of your life, you have the rest of your life to figure out how to win, because nobody's going to save you. They might show up and
I
take
don't
the
disagree
report.
with you. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think it's, you're not wrong. I like the dealing with failure.
Yeah, we'll do both.
For that particular segment.
Yeah. So we'll talk about dealing with failure. We've got T-Bear on the channel.
But I mean, I would take Gonky's vote since he's actually going to be on, and I'm not.
One of the last times.
You don't stop it. Now you're just trying to get clicks, and I love it. It's called Selling Out, and that's our new theme.
I have deep intel.
Brought to you by
deep intel that Gonky will be his last show. I'm telling you, dude, if this goes the way I think it's going to go, there's no other choice. And I'm 100% on board with it, because I want what's best for Gonky.
I know.
As do you. Here you go. Right here. John says, complacency kills more of us than any other action, and John is the strongest name.
He's not biased at all. Not biased at all.
Yeah. I'm just saying in that, be hard to kill or being tough and relying on yourself. It's better to rely on yourself and then go use alternate options than it is to be helpless. Because when you spend time, this is where it ties into mental health, because there is no worse feeling in the world than being helpless and hopeless, or feeling helpless and hopeless. And when do you feel helpless and hopeless? When you feel like there's nothing you can do, when there is no way that you can influence a situation because you feel like you have no more power. And some of that is just mental toughness. Some of that has nothing to do with physical or the reality of the situation. It's just mental toughness. It is all in your head, and you've convinced yourself that you don't have any power in that situation.
Agreed. And you know where that comes from? Dealing with failure. Boom. Just tied it all together. Put a bow on it. John Wick.
John Wick.
What other tags can we have to help you? Is there an algorithm for
John Wick 5 revealed?
That if you just say some catchphrases.
Yeah, here's the start of the P51 Viper Fund. I want to say I've had a hard time at work the past 5 months, and you three guys have helped me cope. I've used your mental health minutes. You've all been fantastic. Thanks, guys. Baller. Daniel says, good evening, Wombat and Mover. See what I did there? From a very cold, flooded UK. Send some of that rain over here, man. It's been drought. My question, are either of you aware of a jet you've flown in the past? Still in the boneyard or a museum? Great show. Thank you. Yeah, all the A models I flew are in the boneyard.
Yeah, I'm assuming stuff is, but
I've had people send me pictures of jets that I've flown from VFA 204 as they've arrived.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not cool because it stinks. But
I'd buy
there.
one if I had sufficient funding.
How much you need? Wait, your check? Is
$50? 50 bucks?
Does it
50 bucks? 50 bucks?
Does it have to pass? Or does it have to clear? Or is just the check good? I can.
Check is in the mail. And WWE Raw Wrestling says, thanks for the tip, so to speak. Begun our descent. So the mover show as Man Flight Entertainment has come to an end. Thanks, guys. See you on the next one. Cool. Wombat, you ready to call this one a day, man? It's been an hour and 20 and you only advertised 45 minutes. So I've definitely exceeded my sell by date on this one. Thanks for joining me, dude. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's fun. It's been a while, especially now that I'm not mad at you anymore, which is good.
Well, we should start a new blood feud.
Yeah. What do you want to get upset about now?
I don't like your daily motivational tweets. So how about that?
I don't care. How about
that? Okay. Well, that's
a
Hollis plane to the both of you. What do you think about Jocko Willink? Navy SEALs, the teams versus Naval Aviation and Air Squadrons, Tomcats.
I think it's interesting.
I don't watch.
I'll make a point. Well, because we were going to
don't get me canceled. Don't get me canceled or beat up. I'm not self-reliant enough to not get beat up by Jocko.
I'm pretty sure this won't get you canceled.
Okay.
Beat up.
What about?
Can't help you there. I think it's very interesting. You see a lot of SEALs that do really well in this arena of the YouTubes, the social media, right? But pilots tend to not as much. I mean, you have done a fantastic job. That's not what I'm saying. But the joke is, like, oh, hey, have you read that book by the Navy SEAL? And they're like, which one? Because every Navy SEAL writes a book, right? Or something like that. And I'm like, why is it? I've thought about this a lot on why they do better in this arena a lot of times. And I think a lot of it is the general public is unaware of what they really do in their job, but are infinitely aware of how hard it physically is to get to that level, right? To get to that show, to get to, like, if you get through BUDS, like the average American's like, I might not know anything about it, but dude, that's a hard dude. Like, period, case closed. Like, whether it's physical, mental, whatever, he got through it. Okay. So there's a lot of clout there. Whereas pilots, I mean, a lot of people don't know the difference or don't differentiate the difference between the skill level it takes to fly a 1v1 vice fly from, Des Moines to Salt Lake City. You know what I'm saying? Or it's a very different, it's a much wider net of pilots. So, and trust me, we've all walked through airports and you've looked at some of the pilots and you're like, there ain't nothing hard about that guy, if you know what I mean. Right. So, so I think that's some of it. I think there's an immediate street cred with SEALs when it comes to motivation, and just that pumping you up kind of mentality. And it's good. They've learned how to use that to their advantage. And I think it's cool. I think I like Jocko's stuff. I don't listen to it all the time, but it's hit at some of the times that, he does say things that I'm like, yeah, no, I echo it. And I've said a lot of the same things or thought some of the same things before I even heard him say it. Cause it makes sense. It's a positive mental attitude, and just keep moving forward. So good for him that he does that. It's just, I do find it interesting that it's just, we are received very differently. I think that's all.
I think it's a broader audience too. The people that typically watch fighter pilots are the people that try to emulate in simulators and whatnot. They're like, the Call of Duty is a much wider.
It's true.
Like the people, the exposure is much greater to that in the mainstream media than, you got Top Gun and Top Gun was like a caricature, same thing with Top Gun Maverick, where people thought Top Gun Maverick was a well-written story. Well, it's entertaining, but it's Fast and Furious with jets. It's not. Oh boy,
Yeah.
say that one.
Which one? 1 through 10?
Yeah.
Which Fast and Furious?
Marky Mark. What's the best fighter the U.S. never got but should have gotten? People will want me to say the YF-23 because for some reason that jet has got this meme theory behind it that I don't understand. I would say, Gripen.
I was going to say the Gripen.
Were you going to say the Gripen? What about the
I
F-20?
was.
The Tiger Shark.
I don't know. Man, it's a cool name.
Yeah. I don't know. Gripen would be cool. I don't know if they were ever going to get it, but yeah. And then cool. Some physical and mental training. We always need that. And then
Did he just call you soft? Ouch.
Probably. Top Gun Maverick was a C- at best. Yeah, it was entertaining. Wombat. Looks can be deceiving. People may look like they're great on the outside, but they're not always on the inside.
What did I say that? Ooh. Okay.
They're agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
They're just
I was
agreeing with you.
I'd just say that the opposite. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of the podcast. Glad you were here. Send Wombat something. 312 Crosstown Road, box number pound box 150, Peachtree City, Georgia, with a 69 at the end. Go to Wombat's website.
Hey, that's getting revamped soon, so I may run a little deal there. There's going to be a new TR Matson website soon.
We look forward to the all-new TR Matson. For those of you that are already on the Twitch, Doug and I may do a stream tonight, either DCS or iRacing. I don't know which one yet. At 8:30 Eastern. Be there or don't. And then order Vengeance Flight because Wombat needs money.
Because Broncos don't build themselves. Am I
Is
right?
that what we're doing a Bronco? God, you're all
we didn't
over
even
the
talk
place.
about cars.
Porsche. It's either a Porsche or the thing. Anyway. All right. Thanks for watching.
End this with saying Porsche or Bronco and watch the comments. Oh my God.
Porsche or Bronco or airplane. I say you should buy an airplane.
No.
All right.
I'm good.
Good night. Good afternoon. Good evening. Goodbye.